Now I have the pleasure to introduce and bring to the podium William Fulton from the Kinder Institute for Urban Research at Rice University. Welcome.
Thank you for having me. You really had to, I guess somebody had to come after Anise, right? Okay, fine. Thanks very much. This has been a very stimulating day and evening last night. I've lived in Houston a year and a half. I want to do a poll though. How many of you, okay, I want to do a poll just of people who live in Houston. How many of you live in Houston or the Houston area? Raise your hand. Okay, keep your hands up. How many of those people, how many of you have in the last month gone out on somewhere on the bayou system and walked your dog or ran or jogged or rode your bike or something like that? Okay, now of all the people who have your hand up now, how many of you transported yourself to this event today without driving your own car? Okay. And then of those, how many of you don't own your own automobile? Okay, now you know why I feel so out of place so often in Houston. I thought Charles's presentation this morning with the 3 eras was just a brilliant way to think about Houston. The engineering era, the architecture era, and the landscape architecture era. What was really great about it was he showed us the 3 things, including the emerging 3rd thing, that really defines Houston. There's the linear hardscape, or I guess if you look at a freeway map, it's really the circular hardscape, right? Then there's the monuments that the linear hardscape connects, right? And then there is the now emerging natural connectivity. And those are 3 really great things. And the 3 of them together define Houston. But I think what we have to do moving forward is figure out how to go to the 4th step. Somebody said, I've been to so many great events. I was at an RDA mixer at Morris 2 nights ago. Last night we had the 100th anniversary, Joe, right? Your 100th anniversary party. And also we were all having dinner. And at every one of those things somebody said to me, there is so much design talent in Houston. I lived in LA for 30 years. There's more design talent in the typical mixer in Houston on the typical weeknight that I ever saw in one place in LA in 30 years. And this city, which has the greatest collection of design talent I have ever seen, has the worst street-level urban design of any large city I've ever seen. And why? The answer is pretty simple. All you have to do is look at who kept their hands up and who took them down, right? Because the reason the street-level urban design is so terrible is that none of the designers ever experience it. And neither does anybody else, right? So I really think, so I really think that what's so, and Anise, you said this very well, that out of this hardscape mess that we've created over the last 100 years, through the Bayou Greenways Plan and the Bayou 2.0, Greenways 2.0 plan, and implementation of that, we can create a whole different way of how people look at and view, not just experience, but actually think about the metropolitan area. And I think your point of what Tom Bacon said about rethinking it is a very good point. I think the goal should be to get all of the people in the bayou system who are on foot back up into the city and without getting in their cars, so that they understand that this incredible natural system of natural connectivity actually connects a remarkable set of urban places that they can experience as well through both natural and hardscape linear approaches. And I think what we've seen today is a really, really remarkable set of projects associated with either natural nodes such as Levy Park or natural and Discovery Green or natural linear systems such as Buffalo Bayou Park. And although I take Anissa's point that, and it's very important to be able to have the city disappear from you when you are on the bayou system, I think it is equally important to understand how the natural systems connect you to the city and how those two things put together connects you, puts you in touch not only with nature but with urban life as well. A few weeks ago, I went on the Bayou Cruise, the Buffalo Bayou Cruise. It was the Buffalo Bayou, okay, it was the Cupid Cruise, right? on Valentine's Day. And thank you, Buffalo Bayou Partnership, for that. And what the most astonishing thing to me about that cruise was not the fact that you were on a bayou in the middle of one of the largest cities in America, but the connection and the juxtaposition of being in that place surrounded by an urban place. Not just, you know, here's the greatest view of downtown from the bayou when you round the bend, which is a magical moment on the cruise, but also when you're on the bayou going underneath all the freeways and all that other infrastructure. That's a really magical and remarkable moment. And I think that if the people in this room dedicate themselves over the next 10 or 15 years to the following prospect, we can make some progress in making Houston a really great urban place as it is becoming to be. I think we should dedicate ourselves to helping people understand that experiencing a city on foot is something that does not have to occur only along a bayou. That experiencing a city on foot is something that occurs in the city as well, and it's really powerful when you can go back and forth between the urban and the natural all day long. I grew up in a small factory town in upstate New York, and the factories were along the river. Now you can, you know, catch trout outside where it used to be dump the effluent from the factories. None of them are there anymore. But one of the most remarkable experiences of my childhood was to be able to dip in and out of an urban and natural environment almost a minute-by-minute basis, either walking or riding my bike. You know, when I came to Houston a year and a half ago, everybody I knew in California, pretty much 38 million people in California, said, "What are you doing that for?" And the truth of the matter is, this is a really remarkable urban moment on the national stage for Houston. And the single most important reason for that is the work that's been highlighted today, and the work of the people in this room, the landscape architecture work, the work on the natural linear paths. So I think the next step, the fourth era that Charles has to put in his slideshow, is the era when the natural and the truly urban merge. I don't know what you call it. The era of, for want of a better term, the era of urban design. Because that is when all of us in Houston will begin to recognize what most of you already know, which is this is a really great city. And it deserves to be experienced not only in your car on the freeway or on foot on the bayou, but in all ways, all over town, all the time. Thank you.